seems absolutely inevitable that the vast majority of people who are his close followers would listen to him. He's such a strongly popular person. I cannot imagine that if he comes out that they would not get vaccinated. It would be very helpful to the effort for that to happen.
Keeping it honest, though, there's reason to doubt the former president's effectiveness as a spokesman for getting vaccinated. It's the same reason his own supporters are now vaccine skeptical. The entire COVID outbreak, he politicized public health, whether it was bad-mouthing mask wearing, mocking social distancing, touting quack cures, or leaning on the CDC, as a review today of agency guidance suggests. Donald J. Trump, in effect, vaccinated his supporters against the science. Toward the end, he even said the quiet part out loud, making it perfectly clear that this wasn't really a pandemic at all, that it was just politics.
That's all I hear about now. That's all I hear. Turn on television, like COVID, 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 COVID. A plane goes down, 500 people dead. They don't talk about it. COVID, 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 COVID. By the way,
Shut up.
You won't hear about it anymore.
Not from him, at least, except to complain somehow that vaccine authorization was delayed just to get him, which it wasn't. After that, he checked out completely. Now, was it because there was no longer anything in it for him? You can decide for yourself. What's indisputable, though, is he primed tens of millions of Americans to doubt the vaccine. One presumes he would have never stopped boasting about it were he still sitting in the Oval Office today. But even if the former president had a complete change of heart about it and started praising vaccination for the skies, it is an open question now how much sway he still holds over his former supporters. It's a notion the current president explored when asked about it today.
Should President Trump help to promote the vaccine among skeptics, sir? Especially those Republicans who say that.
And I'm hearing a lot of reports from serious reporters like you saying that. I discussed it with my team, and they say the thing that has more impact than anything Trump would say to the MAGA folks is what the local doctor, what the local preachers, what the local people in the community say. So I urge all local docs and ministers and priests to talk about why it's important to get that vaccine, and even after that, until everyone is in fact vaccinated, to wear this mask.
Well, others, he says, and not the former president, are better influencers, and there's evidence he may be right. Republican pollster Frank Luntz did a focus group over the weekend with vaccine-hesitant Trump voters. The Washington Post detailed the results. They blamed their hesitation on doubts about the long-term effects of new vaccines and accused politicians and government scientists repeatedly misleading them. What was interesting, though, the Post reports they blamed Democrats and not the former president for this. At the same time, though, what seemed to change their minds the most were not political endorsements of getting vaccinated, but more science, more evidence. Here's a woman named Sue from Iowa who says she went from being about 50-50 on getting a shot to 75% in favor.
I like the doctors. I like the medical situation when they give us the facts and talk to us without any politics involved. I think that helps me see that my bias was probably with the political side of it, getting involved and just separating the medical side of it. If I can look just at the medical and health side of it, I'm much better off than when they mix politics in with it.
Well, 19 people took part in that group, which included Republican politicians and former CDC Director Dr. Tom Frieden. All 19 came out of it saying they were more likely to get the vaccine than they were going in. Joining us now is Dr. Tom Frieden. So, Doctor, thanks for being with us. So, we heard that focus group participant say she liked hearing the facts about the vaccines. For you, was that the big takeaway, that separating politics from science in order to get people to trust the vaccine?
It was a really interesting conversation, Anderson, because this is a group that is strongly pro-Trump. They have a lot of doubts about the vaccine, but they're not people who are totally anti-vax, and that was how they were selected. And they clearly believe that the virus, the vaccine, and the response has been politicized. And what they wanted was, they didn't want to hear from any politicians, not even former President Trump. They wanted to hear from doctors, their own doctors, and they had understandable, rational concern. They wanted to know, what's the evidence about the long-term health complications of the vaccine? This is a reasonable question, and they wanted to be listened to. And I think that's the fundamental message, that for each community, we need to listen and figure out both the messages that are going to resonate most and the messengers who will be most effective. And I'll tell you, some of the most effective messages were virtually every doctor who's offered this vaccine is going to get it. No corners were cut in approving it. Only red tape was cut to get it approved quickly. And it was not rushed to the market in a year. This is a technology that was more than a decade in the making. And the trials were not small. There were tens of thousands of people, and not a single person, as far as we know, has died from getting the vaccine.
Dr. Fauci said it would be helpful if former President Trump encouraged his supporters to get the vaccine, though President Biden, as we just heard, says, look to community leaders, local doctors to promote it. Your focus group, did they care about the former president's opinion on taking the vaccine?
It was actually somewhat surprising. I think it surprised Frank Luntz, who organized the whole group. They really didn't want to hear from any politicians, not even former President Trump. They wanted to hear from their own doctor, and that's why it's so important we get shots into the offices of doctors as soon as the supply gets a little more than it is now. And they wanted to hear from medical professionals.
Chris Christie also spoke during the meeting, I understand, talked about his own personal ordeal with COVID-19. I'm wondering if personal and emotional stories had an impact on changing minds.
Yes, in fact, it wasn't so much Chris Christie's stories or his description of getting COVID at the White House. It was his discussion of two family members, one of them quite healthy, who both died from COVID. That clearly had an impact. And this is one thing that's very important. We need to give honest, accurate narratives of what COVID does, of the death, of also the long COVID and the suffering that causes, because fundamentally, we can't give you 100% certainty that there's not going to be some rare adverse event of this vaccine 10 years down the line. But we can tell you with 100% certainty that you're much less likely to get COVID if you get the vaccine. And if you do get COVID, it's going to be replicating all over your body for a week, and that you do have a chance of having long-term suffering as a result.
Yeah, that was one of the things that personally for me was really powerful. I did a piece on 60 Minutes about so-called long haulers, people who had actually mild symptoms when they actually were infected and thought they'd kind of gotten away. They had some bad days, but it wasn't. They weren't hospitalized, many of them, and yet 8 months later they're still having trouble walking, having troubles breathing, having brain fog and the like. And that for me was really kind of a wake up of you don't even want to get it and not have any symptoms or think you have mild symptoms. We played sound a few minutes ago from the former FDA head, Scott Gottlieb, telling CBS this weekend about the evidence has shown that vaccines are reducing asymptomatic infection.
I don't understand what he just said. I'm rewinding that part.
Of, bad days, but it wasn't, they weren't hospitalized, many of them. And yet, 8 months later, they're still, having trouble walking, having troubles breathing, having brain fog and the like. And that for me was really kind of a wake up of you don't even want to get it and not have any symptoms or think you have mild symptoms. We played sound a few minutes ago from the former FDA head, Scott Gottlieb, telling CBS this weekend about the evidence has shown that vaccines are reducing asymptomatic infection and transmission. Dr. Gottlieb, which pointed out, is on the board of Pfizer. If he's right, that is a huge step toward getting the virus under control. What more do you know about that?
Well, we have better and better news about the vaccine. What you're seeing already in the U.S. Is a dramatic decrease in nursing home death, and that is undoubtedly an impact of vaccination.
Hello.
Already these vaccines are saving thousands of lives in this country, and that effect is going to get even greater in the coming weeks as vaccine-induced immunity kicks in for more and more people who are over the age of 65. So this is making this virus even less lethal. And there is growing evidence that it reduces the likelihood that you'll spread the virus to others. But we don't know that yet. It's not certain. But I do think that the vaccine is getting the best of the virus. Now, we're not out of the woods. It ain't over till it's over. You're seeing explosive spread in Europe and parts of Latin America. You're seeing variants that can overwhelm the immunity that you get from getting the virus infection before. So it's really a race of the vaccine against the variants. And the more we control the virus, the more we vaccinate, the greater the likelihood that we'll get to a new normal sooner.
Dr. Tom Frieden, appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Coming up next, Republican senator responds to allegations of racism over his statements about the January insurrection.
Because he was
Finally, in
racist.
connection with the death of Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick, and later Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg on the president's COVID relief bill and the money that's already going to people's pockets.
Maybe going to people's pockets, but I haven't gotten it yet.
And unmatched overall value. Together with a dedicated advisor, you'll make a plan that can adjust as your life changes, with access to tax-smart investing strategies that help you keep more of what you earn.
Hello, 51 people. Where are you tuning in from?
You see what you'll pay before you trade. Personalized advice, unmatched value. At Fidelity, you can have both. Want to eliminate
Pokemon Go.
heavy, overwhelming scents? We get it.
I'm gonna check Pokemon Go. Who here plays Pokemon Go?
Heavy perfumes and light scents you'll love. Febreze
Oh, Habs Challenge. I rode the exercise bike. Or 21-day challenge. I rode it for 20 minutes. I was supposed to do 13.
CoQ10 is the #1 cardiologist recommended heart health supplement for people taking cholesterol-lowering statin drugs. I recommend Cunol CoQ10 because it has 3 times.
How do I tag? What's her name?
Cunol is the brand I trust.
For years, I struggled with anxiety
In
and
Sweden,
depression. But when I was ready
with the
for help,
21-day
I knew the right
challenge.
care was
My
there.
brain is not working. What is her name? I know who I mean.
mental health professionals. We could help them navigate the system.
Not everyone has that. That's why I started Cerebral, online mental health care without the high
I don't
costs
know.
and wait times. With our affordable care model, you can get meds prescribed and delivered, and talk with a licensed therapist on your own time. With Cerebral, everyone gets a care team.
Get your first
That
month for just
commercial is
$30.
fucking annoying. Sorry for the language.
Out here, we know you're ready for a fresh start in a new season. When gardeners dig into fresh ground. When landowners need a little horsepower, get property looking its best. And when taking care of pets and animals gives us new purpose. Out here, 42,000 of us in over 1,900 Tractor Supply stores are here to help with homegrown.
What is her name?
Everything
My
you
brain
need
is
for
not
spring.
working.
And with the services that make
I'll just
shopping
tag
easier than
21-day
ever. Tractor
challenge.
Supply. Everything for your life out here.
Want to make a name for yourself in gaming? Make a name for yourself, even if
All
your
right,
office and
let me
bank
check.
balance are far from glamorous.
My
That
eyes
means
are bothering me. I
exposing
need to
nothing
put my eye drops in.
You're listening.
And I'm looking for
Going
that.
up against this guy
You
and pitching
for the
your idea
Pokemon Go.
100 times. No.
No. I like it.
You burned a ton of
And you
calories this week.
definitely love that.
Ultra League starts now.
Intuit QuickBooks helps small businesses
Ending
be more
soon,
successful
Great
with
League.
payments, payroll, banking, and live bookkeeping.
Steel Hour.
Julia?
Psychic Hour. I missed that.
Jenny Craig works.
Incense Day.
Introducing Rapid Results Max, our most effective weight loss program ever. Take your weight loss to the max with our delicious meals and our revolutionary recharge bar designed to increase fat burn and make you feel less hungry.
Okay, I missed that.
My best decision ever.
You can lose up to 17 pounds in your first 4 weeks.
Max was so easy and it worked.
Call now.
Event
Limited time
ends
offer,
this
flexible
Sunday. Well,
delivery
let me
service,
just
Jenny
check
Craig.
the. You burned a ton of
Need a
calories.
change of
Claim your
scenery?
reward.
Kayak searches hundreds of travel sites for flights
Oh
with
my
no
goodness.
change. So you can book a great deal now and always change later.
Who
Kayak.
plays Pokemon
Search
Go?
one and done.
Welcome to that magic realm. Between
And there are people, they said, in Norway that died after getting the Pfizer vaccine. There was a group of people that were older. So why are they saying nobody died from the related to the Pfizer vaccine?
the perceptive and the daily.
Your item bag is full. Can we catch this? What is that? A wild Taurus? Great.
This can get me in trouble. That's what you say when you can't help saying something, but you possess just enough self-awareness to know that you can't help saying it. Tonight, Republican Senator and insurrection doubter Ron Johnson is answering to charges of racism and what he said Friday about the attack on the Capitol and the people behind it, his kind of people.
I knew those are people that love this country, that truly respect law enforcement, would never do anything to break a law.
That's a bunch of
So
fucking
now,
bullshit.
Had the tables been turned, Joe, this could be in trouble. Had the tables been turned and President Trump won the election, and those were tens of thousands of Black Lives Matter and Antifa protesters, I might have been a little concerned.
Sorry for the
Senator
language.
Johnson on Friday saying that the people who attacked the Capitol loved law enforcement. Senator Johnson late today.
There's nothing racial about my comments, nothing whatsoever. Now, this isn't about race, this is about riots. It's still pretty shocking that it would take what I consider completely innocuous comment and turn it into, use the race card on me and, say there's some kind of racist comment involved in that. There was none.
It was racist.
Joining us now, CNN political commentator, former South Carolina Democratic state lawmaker, Bakari Sellers. Bakari, well, I'll let you just speak on this because I was just so surprised by, not surprised by, but just irritated by what he just said now to justify what he said previously. The idea that, that he sees the truth here in his comments and knows that there was nothing racist involved.
And when people are making racist comments, the first thing they want to push back with is simply say, you can't play the race card. But it's our job to call it out. I mean, I'm not surprised, but I'm not disappointed anymore. Nothing about this is new. I mean, this is as American can be. But I'm troubled because this is coming from the highest part of the gland. I mean, this is coming from the United States Senate, the United States Congress. Just last week, we heard from Representative Grothman as well, saying that Black Lives Matter didn't believe in the old traditional family. And now you have Ron Johnson saying the same thing. For me, I go back to Stokely Carmichael, Anderson, and Stokely once said that if you want to lynch me, that's your problem. But if you have the power to lynch me, then that's my problem. Racism in this country is a power construct. And people like Ron Johnson have the power and the ability to implement racist policies even when they're ignorant to the fact that what they're doing is racist. This is not about somebody calling you nigger. I get called that enough in my Twitter comments. I get called that in my messages when I leave CNN every single day. It's not about that. It's about something more than that. It's about the systemic oppression. It's about the systemic racism and people like Ron Johnson who play a role in it and are so ignorant to the fact, to the role they play, that they sit there and simply turn their back and say, don't play the race card. We're not playing the race card, Senator. We're trying to educate you on the fact that either there's one of two things. Either you're using racism as political currency, which is cowardice, or you simply are ignorant and do not know that the language that you're using is racist and hurtful. It's one of those two options.
And then him using the term, the race card as if it's some sort of game here.
Yeah, and for me, if I had the opportunity to sit down with Senator Johnson, I would go back and say, Senator Johnson, what this is an ignorance of the history and how far we've come. I would sit down and tell him that the reason that we got the 64 and 65 Civil Rights Act and Voting Rights Act is because of the Edmund Pettus Bridge and people who were brutally beaten on national TV for the first time in this country's history. White folk throughout this country were able to see the dogs, the water hoses, the batons, etc. This is about the assassinations, the Medgar Evers, the Emmett Tills. All of those things led to the Civil Rights Act and Voting Rights Act. I would say, Senator Johnson, the way we got the Fair Housing Act of 1968 was because Dr. King got assassinated. I would say, hell, the reason that the Confederate flag came down in South Carolina is because 9 people, including my friend Clemente Pinckney, were murdered in a church. I would say, Senator Johnson, the only reason we're on the cusp and having these discussions about criminal justice reform is because George Floyd had a knee in his neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. What I'm trying to tell you is that there is a great deal of pain and Black blood that's flown through the streets of this country so that we could have out a semblance of political change. And so I think that he needs to understand the history of this country. So when you make comments like, it's okay for these white boys to come in here with their Confederate flags and anti-Semitic rhetoric and beat police officers and murder a cop. But if there is somebody Black standing up for what they believe to be right and just, saying that we need to stop being killed in the street, you want the National Guard called on them. See, that's the problem. And it's not people who use ignorant rhetoric. It's people in power who implement racist policies. That's why I have a problem with Grothman and Ron Johnson.
He's also rewriting history. I mean, he looks at the crowd who attacked the Capitol. He's not scared of them, he alleges, because he knows that they are good people who love this country and love law enforcement. I mean, there are hundreds of people who've been arrested, and numerous police officers who have been injured. One police officer lost their life. 2 other have died by suicide. I mean, it's a complete rewrite of what happened.
It's a rewrite of what happened, but it's American history. Like, just think about Ron Johnson being more sympathetic to cop killers and anti-Semites and people carrying Confederate flags than black folk protesting. But it's not just about Ron Johnson. And that's what I'm trying to tell folks. When we talk about systemic oppression, imagine the Ron Johnson who works at Wells Fargo, who is your loan officer, who looks at you as less valuable than a white guy who comes in there. Or imagine Ron Johnson as your professor or teacher who looks at you as less intelligent. Imagine Ron Johnson as your police officer that pulls you over on the side of the road, who thinks that you are more of a danger than a white boy. See, that is what we're talking about when we talk about this systemic injustice. But Ron Johnson creates the laws. And so, yeah, we got to call it out. We got to push back. And I wish that he would, instead of doubling down, which is what Trump got us, I wish he would simply try to educate himself on the ignorance in the statements that he makes. I know he's retiring, but there is still time to do better. And maybe that's my youthful naivete. I still believe that Ron Johnson can be a better man than he displayed last Friday.
Corey Sellers, appreciate it. Thank you. Even more to the point, this comes as we learn that 2 of those allegedly police-loving men, as Senator Johnson describes them, have been arrested and charged with assaulting Officer Brian Sicknick, who later died after the Capitol attack. And as Evan Perez joins us now with more on that. So what do we know now about these 2 men? Because this has been a long time coming. Police have been looking for how he died and who killed him.
That's right, Anderson. There's been a top priority for the FBI, and these 2 men, their names are Julian Cater and George Tanius. They're facing 9 counts, including assault on a federal office.
By the way, that's the picture of Officer Sicknick.
Right. That's Officer Sicknick. They're charged now with assault on Sicknick and 2 additional officers. According to the FBI, the affidavit from the FBI in court today, they are seen in video, on surveillance video, as well as some of the body-worn camera images that they were able to retrieve, using some kind of spray, some kind of chemical irritant.
So just for our viewers, that where there's a red rectangle over one of them, and then I guess the other one is the guy there in the hat off to the right-hand side.
Right, and the guy in the hat appears to be Tanios. He owns a sandwich shop in West Virginia. Helpfully for the FBI, he wore a shirt that has the logo of the sandwich shop that he runs. And so what you see in some of these images, Anderson, is the attack, according to the FBI, in which they're using some kind of chemical irritant spray. I'm told that is some kind of bear spray. I'll read you just a part of what the FBI says in the affidavit. That says the officers Sicknick, Edwards, and Chapman are standing within a few feet of Cater. This is one of the 2 men there. They all react one by one to something striking them in the face. The officers immediately retreat from the line, bring their hands to their faces, and rush to find water to wash out their eyes. This is what happened, according to the Capitol Police, Anderson. Officer Sicknick goes back to his office sometime thereafter. He becomes ill. He is taken to the hospital. He dies the following day. You might be asking, why aren't these men being charged with murder? At this point, I'm told that investigators are still waiting for the final medical examiner's report to show cause of death. And so we may yet see additional charges.
Evan Perez, I appreciate it. Thank you. Let's get perspective now from our security
I'm still looking for a 2400.
Investigators still waiting for the final medical report, which is one reason why we're not seeing murder charges. Can prosecutors later add the murder charge if their investigation shows the 2 men they arrested for assault were responsible for the officer's death?
Absolutely. And it was smart of them actually to start with assault and then work their way, because with these arrests, maybe family, friends will come forward, told them what they tell the police what they know. One piece of evidence that has come out that is being reported is in the affidavit is they also knew each other before they got there. They were childhood friends, I believe. So there's going to be either social media conversations or emails between the 2 of them about what their intent was. Was it just to go to the rally for Donald Trump? That seems hard to believe, given that they had this bear spray. or was it to inflict bodily harm, and on whom? So this case will unfold quickly, and it will also unfold probably more dramatically than what we saw today.
Yeah, well, and you have the former president saying it's, come to Washington January 6th, it's going to be wild. They brought bear spray because it's going to be wild.
Right.
More than 300 people have been charged in connection so far with the assault. The Department of Justice says the figure could easily pass 400. Does the focus remain on those who took part in the assault, or is there also a conspiracy angle to this?
I'm still looking. The conspiracy charges continue. They're not showing themselves to be very strong, and then there's so many cases. It's hard to say that there's a general theme. It seems like the conspiracy was essentially everyone agreed to go listen to Donald Trump, honestly, and then they meet there and organize. There may be conspiracies amongst 1, 2, 3 people, but that's the way the cases are unfolding. But 300 isn't enough in my book. I have been saying, look, there's a connective tissue here from what Bakari was saying to here, which is the racism, the anti-Semitism that we saw with this new Navy guy, the Navy Nazi guy who was arrested as well, who had anti-Semitic.
He was walking around a Navy base with a Hitler mustache.
Yeah, I mean, so right, exactly. What do you good intentions, I'm sure, and the racism that animates from.
All right, I couldn't find one.
Crowd to essentially what Senator Johnson is saying. I adore Bakari Sellers, but Ron Johnson knows exactly what he's doing. This is a party now, and we know it because of all the efforts that they're doing to minimize or to undermine voting rights. This is a party now that has aligned itself with a strategic effort to essentially deny the vote and put into question the votes that had already occurred. Those votes that they look at are not white votes, as Ron Johnson made clear. It's the African American votes and the Hispanic votes. So when you write something, you think about the connective tissue about what you're writing or about all these cases. The connective tissue is white supremacy and racism, and it just that's why every single one of these cases matters, because the goal now is to stop recruitment. And the more that these folks go to jail, that they are shamed and isolated, and that we have a president
there's a
who
2,500
doesn't nurture racism but condemns it. I think that we are going to have better days. It's just a really hard time right now.
Celia Kaim, I appreciate it. Thanks.
All
Just
right.
ahead, look at the hundreds of proposed state laws across the nation that would curtail voting rights. Juliet just alluded to, and the public pressure campaign progressives are running to defeat Republican measures.
I'm going to give out gifts in Pokemon Go. Let's see who can receive a gift.
Never run dry, a killer attitude, or hydration. Neutrogena Hydro Boost, the number
Sending one gift.
active moisturizer, delivers 2 times the hydration.
I'm sending 2 gifts.
Neutrogena.
Keeping your oyster business growing as you sponsor. You need to
Gift from the library.
Indeed, you do. The moment you sponsor a
Which
job
is probably
opportunity,
closed.
you get a short list of quality
Let me
candidates
see, who
and
else wants a
radio
gift?
ratings. Claim your $75 credit. when you
Can
post your
receive
first
a
job on
gift.
Indeed.com/promo.
Retirement income is complicated. As your broker, I've solved it.
That's great, Carl. But we need something better. That's
Nobody else can receive a gift?
Penalties or advisory fee.
And we can monitor.
To see that we're on
Let me
track.
try it the other way
Schwab
around.
Intelligent Income.
Can receive a gift.
Introducing Schwab
Okay, how many gifts do I have
Intelligent
left?
Income, a simple modern way to pay yourself from your portfolio.
All right. Hello, Debbie. How are you? I'm playing Pokemon Go and listening to Anderson Cooper. Do you play Pokemon Go? Let me see.
Get the food you love. Perks from
How many gifts do I have left to send? My bag is full though. I'm sending 1 gift there.
This Premier Protein Cafe Latte is beyond.
You're good? Well, better than last night. I wasn't feeling well, and I actually I tried to get my decongestant filled. I did not get it filled today, and I only have 1.5 doses left. Luckily, I haven't taken it yet. Eric reacted to my post. I don't see Eric here, but he reacted. You're good? Okay. Let's see. How many more gifts can I give in this game? Do you play Odd Socks on Facebook or Pack Rat?
Challenging times.
There's the last gift.
Neither are resilient people.
I rode the exercise bike, the 21-day challenge. I said I was supposed to ride for 13 minutes today. I rode it for 20, which is good. My knees were hurting earlier today. Let's see if it helps or makes it worse. Now let me see how many. My bag has 406 items, so it's full still.
Frigidaire Gallery appliances.
And there's nothing to catch.
Dishwashers, ranges, and specialty built-in
Mysterious component.
Huge savings on Frigidaire Gallery appliances today at DeWitt.
Berry. And I tried the AR version, the AR to catch a Pokemon Go in my living room, but I couldn't find any. Let's try it again. Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, I just figured I'd try. Yeah. Thanks for stopping by. I got my broadcast studio to work the first time in like 2 weeks by unplugging my router and replugging it in.
Amazing internet. Xfinity, the future of awesome. It's freezer time at DeWitt Appliance. We have chest freezers.
Let me see.
And
I'm going to click
freezers in
OK and
stock.
see if there's a
Trusted brands
Pokemon
like
Go
GE
in my
and
living
Frigidaire
room again.
provide great
You're
options
supposed
for
to
extra
look
food
around
storage
a
year-round.
flat
DeWitt
space
Appliance.
in
All
AR
those appliance
mode.
experts. Corner of
There's
122nd
usually one
and
right
Airport
behind
West.
me, but I don't see one today.
Divided we stand. Sundays at 10.
Public pressure is ramping up on the voting rights front. Two progressive groups have vowed to spend tens of millions of dollars to convince senators to pass a major civil rights bill stuck in the Senate, as groups in Georgia are launching a campaign to persuade major corporations based there to oppose restrictions recently proposed by Republican lawmakers. On Sunday, Georgia Democrat Stacey Abrams called these new proposals a redux of Jim Crow in a suit and tie. That was a quote. According to the left-leaning Brennan Center for Justice, they're just some of the more than 250 bills that state lawmakers have introduced nationwide that would restrict voting rights. Joining us, our chief national correspondent, John King, and back with us, Bakari Sellers.
I don't see any.
Well, so John, how widespread are the proposed voting restriction laws?
The proposals, Anderson, are everywhere. You see the map here, shaded by how those states voted in the presidential election. 43 states. 43 states. The Brennan Center's right. In 43 states, more than 200 proposals. Again, they're not all going to become law, but some of them already have, and some of them will, and they have a common theme. They're being pushed by Republicans, and they are the legacy of the big lie. You have Republicans in state after state after state saying the problem in America is not that more people voted in 2020, it's that there was so much fraud. We know that's a lie. It's a legacy of the Trump lie. But it's happening coast to coast. There's one way to look at it just through the states. Another way to look at it is the deeper the green, the more proposals in that state. So 15 proposals or so in Arizona, a dozen or so in Texas. You see Georgia here as well. So they're everywhere in state legislatures. Again, Anderson, coming back to this map, they're not all going to become law, but a lot of them are, and the consequences are enormous. In 2022, you have the redrawn congressional district. Texas will gain 2 or 3 seats. Florida's going to gain a seat.
Hello, thanks for stopping by.
Governor's races in Florida, Georgia, Texas, Arizona, Iowa, and beyond. This is a huge deal.
What kind of restrictions are we talking about, John?
I'm playing Pokemon Go.
Follow the pattern here. Again, they're different in every state. The Iowa restrictions are actually law. The Republican governor has signed them. It reduces the number of early voting days from 29 to 20.
Make it a crime to give someone food or drink in an hours-long line.
An hour earlier on election day. Again, makes it harder to vote. Also, new restrictions on absentee voting, something that was used throughout the pandemic. Follow the pattern. In the state of Georgia, again, this is still in the legislature, but narrows the eligibility for absentee voting. Notice the pattern here. Limits the use of mobile or drop boxes, voting locations. Again, very important to Democrats. You need a court order to extend polling places, new ID requirements. The legislature has the authority to block emergency powers. Look at Texas, and again, prohibits early voting in tents and garages. That's Harris County, that's Houston, that's reaching out into communities of color, trying to give people easier opportunities to vote. Fines for local officials if they don't purge the voter rolls. Shortens the window to return your mail-in ballots. Seeks to limit and standardize early voting. Again, everywhere you look, it's baldly transparent, Anderson. Republicans are pushing proposals that would restrict voting in areas where Democrats do well. There's really no other way to look at it.
And Bakari, I mean, again, you know, people said, oh, well, look, the president lied. Sure, all politicians lied. This is the big lie, and these are the ripple effects of the big lie. I mean, it's legislation is now being proposed in all these states based on a lie.
Yeah, but Anderson, I want to be clear, and I believe John knows this as well. These things didn't just start popping up recently. This has been an effort that goes back to 2008 after the election of Barack Obama. When I was in the General Assembly, we were probably the second or third state to try to implement voter ID laws after the state of Indiana which made it more difficult for individuals to actually go to the polls and cast their ballot. It's not just about having an identification card. It's about having a state-issued identification card, not allowing people to use college IDs or utility bills or anything else. And so you're starting to
try
see
one
this,
battle on
this
Pokemon
trend
Go.
across the country. It's come to a head, and they are targeting Black and brown communities. Look, Anderson, we should be having a discussion about how to make it easier to vote. Why don't we vote on Saturday? Why isn't voting a national holiday? Why don't we have 30 days of no excuse absentee voting with multiple drop boxes in every single county so everybody who wants to vote has an opportunity to vote? Republicans saw, what is it, 160 million people come out to vote, or nearly 160 million people, and they completely lost their mind. So I think that we have to do a better job of allowing as many people as possible to participate in the democratic process, not shrink the numbers. We're not having a conversation about how to expand the electorate. We're having a conversation about how to shrink it.
Yeah, I mean, after an election that had historic turnout, which is actually a good thing.
Attack incoming in Pokemon
democracy at work. Bakari, that the U.S. House just passed a bill that would protect voting rights on a national level. It entails a lot of the voting access expansions that helped President Biden win in 2020.
Yeah, but will it pass the Senate?
In the Senate, I mean, the likelihood of it passing is what in the Senate?
The Senate, I joke and say that the Senate has bills piling up in front of its door like my wife has Amazon boxes piling up in front of her door every time I come home. So they're not doing much. It's just stacking and stacking and stacking. But the fact is, if we do not pass this voting rights bill, this John Lewis voting rights bill, then Democrats will not win elections for the remainder of the decade, point blank, period. You know, it's very clear. I mean, we know that the Republican Party has gutted the Voting Rights Act. We know that there are no protections in place to prevent against these discriminatory bills that are being circulated throughout the country. And so without this, there are no checks and balances. And I know that Kirsten Sinema and I know that Joe Manchin have a fundamental problem with eliminating the filibuster, but this is an issue of democracy and this is an issue of justice, and that bill must pass, Chuck Schumer.
John, what's the likelihood of that?
The prospects are bleak today, Anderson. Bakari raises a key point. If more of these legislation, if more of these states pass this legislation,
can I win one
this
more?
is going to become a Republican power play going into 2022, and the pressure is going to be on President Biden, on Vice President Harris, on other Democratic leaders to get to the Senate to at least in one case change the filibuster rules for this one piece of legislation, because it is such a fundamental piece of the Democratic Party. And Bakari's right. In the Trump era, this is all put on steroids, but this is historical, this is legacy, and this is critical.
John King, Bakari Sellers, thank you. Just ahead, another fight Democrats are waging. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg gives his perspective on the COVID relief plan that received 0 Republican votes, that the Biden administration begins a sales blitz to Americans across the country.
Okay, let's see if I can get rid of this one last Vaporeon before he gets. He's gonna get rid of me, and I'm gonna lose the battle in Pokemon Go. I think that I just got. Did I get killed? Yes. I'm stuck. Good effort. Oh, that was a super battle. I tried the super one. Like, do I want to try one more of the regular battle?
Staring at screens and watching their spending.
I'll try
Good
once.
vision is more important than ever, but so is saving.
Premier
That's why
Cup.
America's
Oh, I already
best
did that one. Let's try the
exam
Ultra
and buy
League.
cheaper
Recommended
for
battle
just
party.
$69.95. Book an exam online today.
I'm Erin, and I'm Margot. We've always done things our own way, charted our own
Metagross.
I wasn't going to just back down from moderate to severe rheumatoid
Golem.
arthritis. Psoriatic arthritis
Gyarados.
wasn't going to change.
Let's try that.
When I learned that my joint pain could mean permanent joint damage, I asked about Enbrel. Enbrel helps relieve joint pain and helps stop permanent joint damage.
Okay, finding an opponent. Carlos
Ask your doctor about Enbrel.
M. Leon is my opponent.
Enbrel may lower your ability to fight infections. Serious, sometimes fatal events, including infections, tuberculosis, lymphoma, other cancers, nervous system and blood disorders, and allergic reactions have occurred. Tell your doctor if
Not very effective.
infections are common, or if you're prone to
But it killed the guy in the game.
have been treated for heart failure, or if you have
All right.
fever, bruising,
Wasn't very effective, but I
start Enbrel if you have an infection like the flu. Visit Enbrel.com.
attack incoming. Use a shield.
Enbrel. Eligible patients may pay as little as $5 per month.
All right, blocked. Attack incoming. I used my second shield. Flash cannon. Get ready.
Motortrend's 2021 car of the year. They killed her son, then Beulah May in an all-white jury took the plan down.
Attack incoming. No protect shields remaining.
People versus the Klan, through Sunday, April 11th at 9.
Shadow sneak.
With your masquerade.
Alright. I got rid of that one. There's only one more left, and I still have 3 guys. Go Pincer. Okay, now he got killed. Let me try this one. Do you think a golem can get a pincer? Let's try it. Yep, gone. You win. Yay! 14 out of 50. Next battle. How about we see what I... Exit the trainer battle? Yes. What do I collect? I can't collect it. My item bag is full. Let's see if there's any more. See, I'm stuck because I don't want to get rid of the things in my bag, but I can't use the potion, or the super potion, or the hyper potion, or the max potion, or the revive, or the max revive, or the charged TM.
Hunters operators along the U.S.-Mexico border, and this is CNN.
Let me see. Wait, is there something there to catch? What do I see?
And relieve muscle cramps.
There's more gifts. What is that I can catch? Right there, I saw something. There, not that one, that one. The wild Illumies. Let's try and catch him.
Days after signing into law, President Biden and his administration have begun a massive publicity blitz for their nearly $2 trillion COVID recovery plan. The goal to emphasize the medical and financial relief they believe the law will bring.
Over the next 10 days, we will reach 2 goals, 2 giant goals. The first is 100 million shots in people's arms will have been completed within the next 10 days. And 100 million checks in people's pockets.
As I mentioned earlier, Vice President Harris and her husband, as well as First Lady Jill Biden, were also out today at separate events, with the president scheduled to appear this week in Pennsylvania and later in Atlanta with the vice president. Shortly before air, I spoke with Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, who talked about the impact they believe this Recovery Act will have on the lives of everyday Americans. Secretary Buttigieg, the president and vice president are out there this week to really sell the stimulus plan to the public. There may be $100 million checks given to Americans in the next 10 days. There's still $1.9 trillion attached to the bill. How do you assure Americans that it's worth the cost?
Well, Americans already believe that it's worth the cost. That's why this is a bill that has so much bipartisan support. Now, of course, it was bipartisan support among the American people, not much on Capitol Hill, but the American people don't need convincing that this is worth doing. I do think it's appropriate for us to take some time right now to remind everybody of what's just been achieved and what to expect. The $1,400 checks going to families, things I care about here in the Department of Transportation, like shoring up our transit agencies that are so important, not just in big cities, but in smaller communities and rural areas too. The news that flight attendants were told they can tear up their furlough notices among the many, many jobs across America that have been saved. And of course, what this is going to do for poverty, cutting child poverty in half, and for the middle class by reducing health premiums. There's a lot of really good measures that we've taken. And, the president said from day one, the biggest risk was doing too little and not doing too much. We think we've done just what it takes in order to get through this dark season that America's experienced.
As you mentioned, there's billions of dollars going to transit in this bill. What is the future, though, in terms of transportation? People are right now obviously not using public transportation as much as they did before the pandemic. Is there longer term solution to keeping these industries viable? Or do you think it'll return to back the way it was?
Well, I think the rescue plan has gotten us through this moment, or I should say it will as we go out and implement it. Another thing the president's been clear on today is that we still have to do a good job of getting those resources out to where they need to be. But that was step one. Now we're ready to work in earnest on step two, and that is that long-term vision for transportation in America. Look, everybody knows that our roads,
there's
our
no one else
bridges,
to give a gift
our
to.
infrastructure from ports to you name it needs a lot of work.
We got to fix what we have, and we've got to build for the future. And the future is not going to look like the past.
According to TSA, more Americans have traveled by air in the last 4 days than any 4-day period of the pandemic. Are we ready to return to traveling like we did before the pandemic?
Well, this is still not a time to travel just because, and the CDC has encouraged people to, obviously you should check the CDC website, think twice before traveling if you don't have to. But we're also taking measures to make sure that travel is safe. The president's executive order clarified what needed to be done in terms of mask mandates. And by the way, I really think it's very important for passengers, whether you're on an aircraft or for that matter, a bus across town, to pay attention to and respect that mask mandate and not put flight attendants or bus operators or others in the position of having to tell you or require you to do what everybody ought to be doing, which is to keep yourself and others safe.
Do you want to see the CDC updating their travel guidance soon? Because they've said that they likely will.
Yeah, we want to be traveling more as soon as it's safe. Now, the CDC is in charge of making a science-based determination based on the medical facts about when that will come. But I'm among the many Americans who feels that impatience, that urge to get out, to travel, to see people that we care about, to be able to travel for work more and more. And yet we know that we should do that only when it's responsible.
The White House today said that they'd welcome the support of the former president promoting the vaccine. How far do you think that message would go, especially among some Republicans? Obviously, he and his wife have been vaccinated, but they didn't mention it. They didn't publicize it at all.
Well, it can't hurt. I mean, the more people are getting that message out, the better. And it would be a reminder that this isn't about politics. That said, I think most people listen most to people in their own lives. And so, especially in communities that are maybe more conservative, wouldn't do something just because they felt like one party or one president was asking them to do it. Talk to your doctor, talk to people in your life who are knowledgeable about medicine, and they'll tell you what people without regard to politics who are working on this virus are saying, which is this vaccine is safe and it's the best way to protect yourself, your family, and those you love.
And just lastly, we need to ask you about the allegations about New York Governor Andrew Cuomo. President Biden on Sunday called them, quote, troubling and, quote, hard to read. Obviously, as you know, a number of Democrats, Senator Chuck Schumer, have called on Governor Cuomo to resign. Do you think he can still effectively govern if he's lost the support of Democrats in his own state?
What I'll say is that these allegations are really disturbing. They are serious and they need to be investigated as they are. And that investigation, of course, is underway.
Secretary Buttigieg, I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Up next, is the Biden administration on its way to being boxed in as a result of the growing stream of migrants at the southern border? We'll ask a Democratic congressman who represents one of the key districts there about that when we continue.
All right, I'll try a different game.
Out here, you're more than just a landowner. You're a gardener, a landscaper, a hunter. Because you didn't settle for ordinary. Same goes for your equipment. Versatile, powerful, durable Kubota equipment. More goes into it, so you get more out of it.
One of my favorite supplements is Qunol turmeric. Turmeric helps with healthy joints and inflammation support. Unlike regular turmeric supplements, Qunol's superior absorption helps me get the full benefits of turmeric. Qunol is the turmeric brand I trust.
These past few months haven't been
All right.
but they've reminded us.
Let me check. What game?
Home has new meaning. Home means
Why is Zoom still open? All right.
My name is Charmaine. I am a mother of 6 amazing
Now I'm getting
children, and
hungry because I didn't really eat.
I have a very active family.
All right, should I try the...
Just when things change in your life. It doesn't mean that you can't stay on top of your phone. I like the chocolate one. It actually tastes
Lenny,
really good.
week 8 Habs chat. Lenny's on.
With 30 grams of protein, 1 gram of sugar, and nutrients to support a healthy immune system from your protein.
Should I go and say hi to Lenny on her broadcast? Let me see. Where's the app? The Habs app.
And get a free 60-minute massage session. Massage Envy. Keep your body working.
Grubhub perks give you deals on all the food that makes your boogie.
How many does she have in her broadcast? Let's check. Am I still trending? Let's check. Yes, I'm still trending. Where's Lenny? Oh.
Is skincare from around the world better than Olay? Olay Regenerist is 131 premium products from 12 countries over 10 years. Olay's hydration was unbeaten every time. Face
activity.
Find out more at Olay.com.
So you want to make the best burger ever? Then make it. That means cooking day and night until you get it.
Cozy by the Fire. Lisa was on earlier. Sue was on earlier. Lisa was on again. Just a quick hello. All right, let me check Lenny's broadcast. Does Woof Woof want to say hi to Lenny? Or should I go in on my own account? Let me see. Activity. Profile. How do we look up Lenny?
And it's never so black and white.
I don't know that I. Let me see.
Lincoln. The story continues.
Lisa's by the fire. Where is she? Back in New
I
Hampshire?
came up with the idea that I did not want a denture in my mouth.
All right, let me.
Permanent.
I don't know. Can I find Lenny on this one, Lenny?
My teeth for the last 2 years, I've been able to now go out and be a lot more social without feeling bad about
Lenny
myself.
P.
I go out and I golf.
Let's check Lenny
I go out
P.
and visit with my friends.
How many does
more.
she
We go out
have?
and have dinner. You know,
Lenny.
I'm vacationing a little bit now.
Lenny's posts.
The best investment.
Why does Lenny get to post? I don't get to post.
Dentistry, only at drlampy.com.
I thought it said she was live.
There's the old way of saving.
5 days ago.
No fees ever.
Let's subscribe to Lenny, but where is her? If she's live, I don't see her. Lenny joined this broadcast 5 days ago. What about now? I thought she was live now.
Sorry, old way of saving. We just.
I just got a notification that she was live now, but I don't see her.
Deposit just $1 now for a chance to win
Lenny
$20,000.
P.
Terms apply.
Coffee, chat, and walk. All right, I don't see her.
The administration tonight is facing increasing pressure from both sides of the political aisle to come up with a plan to alleviate the growing migrant surge at the southern border. Now, in a moment, I'll talk with Texas Democratic Congressman Henry Cuellar, who's calling the situation a potential crisis, though the White House doesn't use that word. There's no question the number of migrants is way up. As of yesterday, CNN has learned that more than 4,000 children are in Border Patrol custody. And according to a DHS official in a city memo obtained by CNN, the administration plans to use a convention center in Dallas to hold more than 2,000 migrant teenagers. Joining us now from Laredo, Texas, where the surge is being felt, is Congressman Cuellar. Thanks for being with us. So you followed the immigration policies of both the Obama and Trump administrations very closely. Do you attribute the recent surge to President Biden? What's behind it?
No, I don't. Actually, I had called the White House about a week after inauguration and say, hey, look, this is what we're seeing on the ground. If you look at the numbers, they actually started coming up in August of 2020. And of course, October, November, December, January were high numbers. Those are all under Trump time. And of course, February was low, bigger, over 100,000. What you got to remember is that March, April, May, and June are the peak months, and we're going to see some big numbers.
In terms of the messaging that we've seen from President Biden so far, I mean, he hasn't spoken at length on the issue. The White House has stayed away from calling it a crisis, instead of calling it a challenge. Do you think President Biden needs to be clear in telling migrants the border is
Lenny
not
P
open?
is live again.
Well, look, without due respect, the message has to be clear in Central America. There's 3 messages down there. One is from the president saying, don't come. The other one is the family friends network that get over here. Then they tell their friends and family, I was able to come through. And then the other one is the very aggressive marketing that the criminal organizations do. This Friday, I was there and I talked to some of the people that had come across. About 20 of them. I asked them which message have they heard. Never heard the president, but they heard from their friends and neighbors that they were coming across. They saw things on TV that people were coming across, and they were getting recruited by people to come over across. So it has to be a strong message because.
Hold on 1 second. Let's say hi to Lenny.
Like quite a busy day. So I was trying to pick a space where there might be some people still up. You know us night owls. Some of us sleep whenever we can. So, we can pick any topic you like except politics.
Except politics?
And I would love for you to stop by. Hey, Harbor. How you doing? I decided to try to go live tonight to see how things will go. I know it's been a busy, busy day on here. Oh, thanks, son. Hi, Jim. You're in bed? Well, good. If anybody wants to come up, let me know. I'm not sure. I've got something going on with my back, so if all of a sudden you hear me, like, screech out. Thank you, Jim. That's really sweet of you. I'm pretty safe where I am. I'm in my bed. What else did most people do at 1:30 in the morning?
Is it
cold? It's been so cold here. How's it been in Chicago, Jim? It's like a high of 21 degrees here today. That's insane for March 16th. Officially the 16th of March here on the East Coast, and tomorrow is St. Patrick's Day. Oh, I should have put up green carnations. I'll save that for tomorrow. Oh, thank you, Harbor. That's really sweet of you guys. I went to lie down because I was supposed to cover The Voice at 8. And my back, I don't know what I did to it. I'm hoping it's not like a kidney issue, but I feel fine. Other than, my God, the pain feels like I got kicked in the back by a couple horses. You have a good night. I'll try to stop by to give you a view. Yeah, thanks for coming in. Thanks for the lovely award. I got to replenish my coin supply because I went through the last batch fast. Sunny and sick, yeah. Oh, you got snow, Jim? Because usually what you get comes my way.
Without due respect, the administration's message is not coming through. That's the reality of it.
The House Republican leader Kevin McCarthy and a number of other Republicans visited El Paso today. I just want to play some of what they said for our viewers.
It's more than a crisis. This is a human heartbreak. The sad part about all this, it didn't have to happen. All because the policies of our president has changed and told them something different. Told them to risk their lives. And broke families apart.
What'd you make of what you heard from Kevin McCarthy?
Well, it was expected because they focus only on the pull factor and don't focus on the push factor, what happens in Central America. Let me give you the numbers. In January of this year, 8% of the encounters that we had, 8% were unaccompanied kids. Unaccompanied kids. When you look at the family units, maybe it's about 10%. The rest are single adults. And the single adults, they're being returned under Title 42, which is a 1944 law that Trump started using again. The high point is go back to May of 2019, where we had a crisis where 61% of the people coming across were family units. Now that was a crisis. The only thing what makes this difficult is just the fact that we're in the middle of the pandemic. But if you look at the reality, the real numbers, this doesn't compare to what happened in May of 2019, which is, of course, under President Trump. Those are the numbers. I don't care what people say. Those are the numbers and the reality.
Congressman Cuellar, I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Coming up is the trial of former Minneapolis police officer in the death of George Floyd moves into its second week. The defense asked for a delay in proceedings. We'll explain ahead.
Hi, so you're the scientist here. Does my Aveeno Daily Moisturizer really make my dry skin healthier in one day?
It's true, Jen. This prebiotic oat formula moisturizes to help prevent dry
Okay,
skin.
what do I need? I need Planets 8285.
Try the body wash too.
Hello from Calgary. How you doing?
Where I knew something was missing.
I wanted to try to find someone that wanted to experience life
together. My matchmaker's been awesome. She asked me a lot of questions that were driven to get to know me better, what my likes were, what my dislikes were.
With over 25 years of experience.
Thank you, I
in
appreciate it.
arranged, It's Just Lunch is the world's
Your
#1
internet connection is unstable. Great. Why is it unstable? I just got it to work. Now it's good. It wasn't working for weeks on this broadcast studio. All right, well, now it's good again. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it.
Because It's Just Lunch believes that meeting face to face is the best way to tell if there's true chemistry. We guarantee you go on dates.
It's just lunch. It's Lori and a whole lot more.
Find out what our matchmakers can do for you. It's just lunch, but imagine the possibilities. Microban 24 doesn't just sanitize and stop. It keeps killing bacteria for 24 hours. Just bring
How's your day going?
That's proven to keep killing bacteria for 24 hours. Attack after attack. Microban.
Now what? Oh, Bing Wallpaper just decided to install itself on my PC. That may cause window errors, insufficient disk space, and slow system issues.
Like never before, and get started for free at Ancestry.com.
Scan your PC immediately to eliminate these risks. Yeah, I don't want to scan it. I just scanned it
Psoriatic
before.
arthritis wasn't going to change who I am.
When I learned that my joint pain could mean permanent joint damage, I asked about Enbrel.
All right, let me
Enbrel
check.
helps
I
relieve joint
need,
pain.
which
Enbrel
do I need?
stops permanent
82,
joint pain.
84, 85. I need a Planets. That's not 82, 84, or 85.
Enbrel may lower your
What about-
ability to fight infections. Serious, sometimes fatal
What did I
events,
say?
including
82?
infections,
Did I say
tuberculosis,
83? No, I need
lymphomas, other
83.
cancers, nervous system and blood disorders, and allergic reactions have occurred. Tell your doctor if you've been someplace where fungal infections are common, or if you're prone to infections, have cuts or sores, have had hepatitis B.
There's my 7 sets of
If
planets.
you have
I
persistent
just
fever,
earned the
flu,
Astronomer 7
or
achievement.
illness, don't start Enbrel if you have an infection like the flu.
Visit Enbrel.com to see how your joint damage could progress. Enbrel, eligible patients may pay as little as $5.
All right, what else do I need?
So ashamed to overpay for this used car. I've decided to go undercover. Guess I picked the wrong used car site.
Remember, if you don't see me, you're not seeing the most accurate price. Shop at Carfax. You won't have to overpay on a used car again.
Oh, my. Hey, Beth, how we feeling?
Good.
Yep.
Moving.
Moving.
Shop millions of great deals, all with a free Carfax report. Only at the all-new Carfax.com.
Two more jurors were selected in the trial of former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin, who's charged in the death of George Floyd. Also today, Mr. Chauvin's defense team is asking for delay, citing the city's approval of a record $27 million settlement to Floyd's estate. Defense lawyer Eric Nelson told the judge he was, quote, incredibly concerned by the announcement, calling it, quote, extremely prejudicial to the jury pool. The judge said he would call the jurors already selected and question them about the settlement, would take the motion under advisement. In court, the judge said that he wished that the city hadn't made the announcement, but added that he didn't see any of what he termed evil intent in the timing. Chauvin has pleaded not guilty to second-degree unintentional murder, second-degree manslaughter charges. He's also pleaded not guilty to a lesser charge of third-degree murder, which was reinstated last week. Reminder, Don't Miss Full Circle, our digital news show. You can catch it streaming live 6 p.m. Eastern at cnn.com/Full Circle, or watch it there on the CNN app at any time on demand. News continues tonight. Right now, let's hand it over to Chris for Cuomo Prime Time. Chris?
All right, Anderson, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Happy Monday. I am Chris Cuomo, and welcome to Prime Time. I say happy Monday because we do have good news, okay? The vaccine, it's making its way around the country. The rate is accelerating, and the effectiveness is solid, even against the variants over time. But here's what I want to go deep on with you tonight. Look within the numbers, and we see a clear indication of what is also making us sick. Not just the pandemic, toxic opposition. Look who does not want the vaccine. Look at the number on your screen. Trump's main base of support. Why? No number. I promise you it's there. We're doing a whole segment on it tonight, okay? They have over 40% within the number of Republican men. 41% don't want to take the vaccine.
It is staggeringly high. You hear all this talk about how, hey, minorities don't want the vaccine, as if, that's the big problem. Well, first of all, it is, okay? And there are good reasons within minority communities to be wary of vaccines, but it's about information, it's about messaging, most importantly, it's about access. That's not what we're talking about on the other side of the ball. Why don't they want it, these white men who, by and large, were Trumpers? Trump's whole game was the vaccine when it came to fighting the pandemic. Remember? The magic pill, this is it, the vaccine, Operation Warp Speed. If you look at it more closely, Trump has always pushed his base, and that's what that demographic is, to believe only him. And now, for some of them, taking the vaccine is oddly compliance, surrender, a nod to Biden being president. And also, Trump won't tell them any differently. He won't tell them to take it. He got his in secret, and now he is the only living past president who refused to be part of a PSA to push the effort. Think about that. Why? Why wouldn't he tell people to take the vaccine? He wants credit for the vaccine. Why doesn't he want to tell people to take it? Because he is pushing the disease of division. The position is opposition, and it is making us sick. The fever of this, the fervor for openly playing us and them is frightening, and the name of the symptom that we have to deal with right now is Senator Ron Johnson.
I've made the comment that on January 6th, I never felt threatened because I didn't. And mainly because I knew that even though those thousands of people there were marching to the Capitol were trying to pressure people like me to vote the way they wanted me to vote, I knew those are people that love this country, that truly respect law enforcement, would never do anything to break a law. And so I wasn't concerned. Had the tables been turned and President Trump won the election, and those were tens of thousands of Black Lives Matter and Antifa protesters.
You're racist, buddy.
This is about us and them, and it's about race, period. I wonder, Senator Johnson, do you think Brian Sicknick was concerned when he was assaulted? Glad you weren't concerned. It's because people like him who gave his life to make you not have to feel any more concerned. So, Senator Johnson, do you stand with the two suspects just arrested and charged with assaulting now deceased Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick? Here they are, 32-year-old Julian Cater of Pennsylvania, 39-year-old George Tanios of West Virginia. They are alleged to have worked together to spray toxic chemicals at police, including Officer Sicknick, who died the day after the attack. Not charged with murder, but they are charged with assault, and both appeared in federal court today. But what is this really about? Just patriots, Johnson calls them. And who knows how many others in his party agree with him, because they are sitting silently as he says this. They're not saying he was wrong to say that he'd be okay. He's okay because they were white. If they were black, because that's what BLM is, right? It's just a little code, right? Just blacks, right? You forget about all the allies. You forget about all the white people who believe in systematic justice, equality. But just think about it. He is willing to call people who assaulted and maimed over 100 officers, who came almost 1,000 strong to the Capitol, hunted for blood and chanted, "Hang Mike Pence," patriots, law-abiding citizens. He should be ashamed. And all those who are quiet in the face of what he says are complicit in it. But he says, no, you got it wrong. The shame is on you and me.
There was nothing racial about my comments, nothing whatsoever. Now, this isn't about race, this is about riots. But it's still pretty shocking that it would take what I consider completely innocuous comment and turn it into, use the race card on me and, say there's some kind of racist comment involved in that. There was none.
Yes, there was.
By the way, that works for probably 3/4 of the people who voted for him. Know that. That's the scale of what you're dealing with. Now, take a step back. He may not get it. He may not get it. He may think it is innocuous, harmless to say, white protesters, I'm good. Black protesters, I'm not good. He may not get it. to him, that may be a completely honest statement because he is race sensitive when it comes to what he perceives as a threat. White protesters who come and try to take out lawmakers, you say nice things. They're mostly patriots. They love law enforcement, except the one they killed and the ones that they maimed, losing an eye, some fingers, except for them. But if they were black, it is by definition, Senator, racist. Now look, I have zero interest in falsely promoting what seems obvious here. So I invited the senator on this program. He used to love me. He used to come on with me in the morning all the time. I wanted him to explain why he would be more afraid of black attackers than white ones. And then we could get into whether or not that had anything to do with race. But he didn't want to come on. That's his choice. He came out today and made it clear that this is not about race for him. It's just about defending the Trump mob. Listen.
The vast majority of people here were here exercising the First Amendment rights to peacefully assemble and protest. So the vast majority of Trump supporters respect law enforcement, would never even think about rioting or committing any kind of illegal act.
First, the Department of Justice says this is likely the largest and most complex criminal investigation in U.S. history. The number of defendants could surpass 400 people. I've said this many times, and it is just as true. It needs to be said tonight. Are all Trump supporters violent? Of course not. But are all the people, as far as we know, who attacked the Capitol, Trump supporters? Yes. Why is Johnson ignoring it? That's the point. This has nothing to do with race. Why distinguish between rioters by race? Has nothing to do with race. Why say that the places where the election was rigged, which it was not, are predominantly minority areas? Why would you bring back the most odious laws suppressing the black vote almost by design since Jim Crow? You want a nice activity? Google Jim Crow laws in states where they existed and compare them to the language, the phraseology, and the intention of what's being sold in over 40 states right now, some 250 plus bills. Take a look and be shocked at the similarity. Look, he and anyone in that party who's for these laws are welcome to come on the show. Explain how these are about keeping the election safe. And that's what you have to do, is limit access to the polls. Tell me how that makes it safe. Tell me why you call H.R. 1 the devil's work. Because it is the only single act that can stop this wave of legislation. And here's what I think. I've never even heard you use that devil's work thing about Obamacare. Why about this? My argument is this is becoming some kind of perverse holy war for you guys. Hopefully, once again, Democrats will find a way to fight off the obvious intentions of people like Senator Johnson. They did it back in the day with a better Johnson. And here were his words about what they tried in the 60s.
The Constitution says that no person shall be kept from voting because of his race or his color. It is wrong, deadly wrong, to deny any of your fellow Americans the right to vote in this country. All Americans must have the privileges of citizenship, regardless of race.
You know, I used to hear that and be like, yeah, no kidding. Boy, have we come a long way. Have we? Have we? Let's take it to the better minds. Natasha Alford and Michael Smerconish. Good to see you both. Natasha, what is your take on why Ron Johnson says what he says and then is dumbfounded when it's taken for what he said on his face?
Well, Ron Johnson wants people like me to come on your show, Chris, and to be mad and to be outraged so he can say, there goes the left-wing media trying to pull the race card. But the reality is it's Ron Johnson who is pulling the race card. This is the oldest trick in the book. He prefaces racist comments by saying, this is going to get me in trouble. And then what does he do? He says the comments, and he braces for the backlash, and he wants to play to his base. We saw this with the former president as well. We're seeing it in a lot of aspects of society where people bring this energy where they speak their mind and they're actually honest. I think Ron Johnson's being honest about how he sees the difference in protesters, but then they say, those were innocuous comments. I didn't mean anything by it. It's the gaslighting of America. But really quickly, let's get to the heart of his comments, right? Ron Johnson is validating some white people's fears that Black protesters are actually scary, that somehow they're less patriotic, they're less loyal, that they are, less loving of law enforcement. What we saw with our own eyes, Capitol rioters literally attacking democracy, trying to stop illegal votes, and law enforcement losing their life, right? So the last thing I have to say about this is this irrational fear of Black protests. In the United States, we saw Black protesters, allies, dressed up in their Sunday best. Children were still sprayed with fire hoses, right? They were still beaten by law enforcement. We saw what happened in Selma. And so that respectability, whatever fear he tries to play into about Black protest or protesting in the name of Black life, respectability did not protect us then, and it doesn't protect us now. Black protesters, Black Lives Matter, are exercising their fundamental American right to protest, and they should be protected doing so. They should not be differentiated. Ron Johnson should apologize, but he won't. And that's exactly what he wants to do, stand his ground and make it seem as if he's winning this culture war against the left.
And Michael, as we say all the time, you want to protest, protest. Nowhere does it says, of course you have to have peaceful assembly, but you don't have to be all about peace when you're there. You can be angry, you can yell, but as soon as you touch me, as soon as you touch property, now you've become what you oppose. Now you're not a protester, now you're a rioter. That's the line. But it seems to me there is a new line in the party of opposition. If you're white, you should be outraged about what's going on, and you'll get protection from us. And the proof to me is not Johnson, Michael. It's all the men and women who are quiet after he said it in that party. What's your take?
I think you're right. And also, I think the proof lies in the widespread acknowledgement of what Johnson's saying, the very shallow show of police force on that particular day. You know, remember, that was a day not only where it was well known that there was going to be this protest inspired by then President Trump, but there was also this risk that it might be a day when we faced some type of retribution by the Iranians. And still, we were at the sort of lowest DEFCON possible. What I find significant, not my original thought, Aaron Blake noted this in the Washington Post, is that today Senator Johnson is saying, wow, I'm really surprised at the reaction to what I said. But as Natasha points out, when he first said these things last Friday, there was a preamble. I know this might get me in trouble, but here's what I think. So there was full acknowledgement on his part as to what he was doing. Final thought, if I may, former Vice President Mike Pence, Chris, he's been the most quiet of all amidst this backdrop. If there's one person you would think would want to speak up because they were calling for him to be hung, it would be the former vice president, and yet he says nothing.
That's an interesting play on his part. It will reveal itself. I got to tell you, Natasha, you know what's upsetting to me? A lot of things. But I'm getting to know you, having you on the show, reading stuff on the Grio. I get that you're right to make have the attitude that you have tonight. That they'll expect a certain kind of outrage and all this, and and you got left with the cancel culture and all that stuff. So you got all that on your back when you come to make this argument. But I don't like that you have to put an even face on it and not play it. But he gets to do what he does, and he gets to say what he says, and you can't be outraged. Well, let me tell you, I don't know that I've ever covered anything in this country that is more outrageous to me than what we're seeing with this slate of laws because of their potential. I am frightened by the potential. And I know people keep saying, I'm not a theatrical person. Okay, I have no shtick. This is me. I just don't curse as much on television as I do off it. I'm frightened by this. And it is outrageous, and we all know it. But Alfred, you make the case well, and thank you for making it here. And Michael Smerconish, you are always a plus. Appreciate you. We're going to be talking about this a lot. We're going to be talking about this a lot with the Better Minds, because this is the battle line. MAGA has always been a regressive suggestion. You guys who thought that, you get rid of Trump and it's gone, I've always told you it is about who and what remains. And you have got one shot at nipping a new generation of Jim Crow in the bud. It is absolutely about race. And I take no comfort in saying that. A Senate Democrat joins us next with what the chance is. Senator Merkley, as you know, like so many others, he lived January 6th. What does he think about why Johnson
Merkley from
is saying
Oregon?
what he's saying? Because he knows it's BS. And what does this mean for the ability to save the voting rights of minorities? Next.
As Carla wonders if she can retire sooner, she'll revisit her plan with Fidelity. And with a scenario that makes it a possibility, she'll enjoy her dream right now. That's the planning effect from Fidelity.
Sarah! Jenny Craig works. Introducing Rapid Results Max, our most effective weight loss program ever. You can lose up to 17 pounds in your first 4 weeks. Limited time offer and flexible delivery options with Jenny Craig.
They're out there, working day and night to breach your data and take what's yours. Ransomware, botnet, zero-day attacks. It's kind of scary if you think about it. Or you could not think about it at all. This is autonomous.
Nobody's on Mondays.
This is Sentinel-1.
We all want to feel safe in the places we spend our time. Restaurants, theaters, stores.
Hotels, stadiums, offices, banks, childcare centers, and schools.
I'm Dr. Richard Carmona. This is the Well Health Safety Seal from the International Well Building Institute, the global authority on healthy buildings.
When you see the Well Health Safety Seal, it means health and safety measures have met rigorous scientific standards.
So look for the Well Health Safety Seal outside and feel more confident going inside.
Hi, I'm a new customer and I want your best new smartphone deal.
Well, I'm an existing customer and I'd like your best new smartphone deal.
Do you?
Actually, it's for both new and existing customers.
I feel silly, but I do want the fastest 5G network.
Level
Oh,
687 completed on Odd Socks on Facebook.
It's not complicated. Only AT&T
Gems.
gives everyone the same rate.
Do I already have a set of
Samsung Galaxy
gems?
S21 5G for free when you trade in.
To support local restaurants,
We do.
every city, including Little Rock and even Worcester. And tonight, I'll be eating the
Chicken quesadilla
from
Tony's Tex-Mex.
in
Katie.
Do you think they bought it? Oh yeah.
Not everybody wants the same thing. That's why I go with Liberty Mutual. They customize my car insurance so I only pay for what I need. Because I do things a bit differently. What, teddy bears? What, teddy bears here?
Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
I don't like veggies.
Whatever you have at home, Knorr sides can turn nutritious veggies into mouth-watering meals. Veggies taste amazing with Knorr. Allergies don't have to be scary. Spraying Flonase daily stops your body from overreacting to allergens all season long. You're good.
Welcome to that magic realm between here and there, a no man's land, in everyone's land, where great expectations grow and rewards are given to the swift, the perceptive, and the daring. Introducing the Mazda CX-30 Turbo with all-wheel drive. More power for your pursuit.
My eyes. Where are my eye drops? I never used to understand why Lisa Sansusi needed eye drops until I ended up needing eye drops. Let me put them in my eyes and see if they help.
Sleep soundly tonight with peace of mind from the brand your families trust for quality and timeless protection. ADT, real protection.
You know, racism is as old as this world. I've never been in a society where it didn't have an ugly effect one way or another. And it's always been here in America. But when encouraged, either by quiet or by applause, it ramps up fast. And now we're seeing it more and more and uglier and uglier. An Army reservist charged with storming the Capitol is a well-known white supremacist and Nazi sympathizer. Federal prosecutors say that's what the Navy found. Look at this guy with his mustache. When it investigated Timothy Hale Cusinelli. The Navy is involved because this guy worked as a contractor at a base. It's not just his choice in facial hair. The NCIS talked to dozens of colleagues, many of whom say he repeatedly promoted racist, sexist, and anti-Semitic views. Now look, you can believe what you want no matter how ugly or perverse, but when you act on it in ways that are hurtful or harmful to the rest of us, you got a problem. And guys like him seem encouraged to do exactly that by guys like Senator Ron Johnson, right? He wasn't concerned about him coming to get him. But how about his colleagues? They were concerned enough, smart enough to evacuate. Democratic Senator Jeff Merkley was there. I guarantee you he wasn't looking for a big warm hug from guys like that guy with the Adolf mustache. Senator, thank you for joining us on the show.
Good to be with you, Chris.
What Senator Johnson says is not frightening to me, nor is his defense. He will get good buy-in on the right by blaming the race card, cancel culture, the left. Now, that's going to work. No one came out from his party in the Senate or House and said, shut up, Johnson. We're not about that. That's your problem. How do you think you can work with people who will stand by and be quiet in the face of what he said?
Well, I tell you, the comments made me immediately think of Willie Horton ad from presidential campaign past. No, it's basically saying, hey, if somebody has dark skin, they're scary. Be afraid of them. They're not like us. And I would like to think that Ron Johnson wasn't thinking clearly when he says these kinds of things, but it seems to be a record that keeps being replayed. And I would hope my colleagues come out and say any sort of race-baiting, deliberately cultivating divisions in America just is unacceptable.
But that's not what they need to say.
Make this nation great.
That's not what they need to say. You know, Adam Kinzinger is getting a name for himself. I don't know how he's going to get reelected, but he's getting a name for himself on the House side as a Republican who will say not just we don't like any violence. You know, we should never talk about racism. You got to say what Ron Johnson said is wrong. What Ron Johnson said is wrong. In the control room, I don't understand what you're telling me. Did Adam Kinzinger use his name? Yes, good. Thank you. So Adam Kinzinger did it, but not on the Senate side. And here's my point. I've been making this point to all you guys, Senator. I think I've made it to you before. I don't know where your optimism is about working with them when they've showed the opposite inclination every chance you've given them. But here's your bigger problem. Do you recognize H.R. 1 as the only way to stop this wave of legislation that will absolutely limit the voting rights of minorities across this country?
Absolutely. Of course, in the Senate, we prefer to call it S1. But it is essential that we use our constitutional power. The Constitution says that for congressional elections, we have the ability to lay out the parameters in which those elections are conducted. And this is our constitutional responsibility to defend the ballot box. I mean, the journey of our nation has been a journey of knocking down the barriers to that ballot box that were posed by race, that were posed by gender, that were posed by Jim Crow. And we made it to the Voting Rights Act of 65. And here we are with this massive, massive campaign, essentially unleashed by the Supreme Court, by the way, with their decision to gut the Voting Rights Act, this massive effort to attack the ability of Black Americans, poor Americans, college students, and Native Americans to cast a ballot. And it's absolutely wrong. It's absolutely unpatriotic. It's absolutely just a corruption of our constitutional responsibility.
The only way you get rid, S1, the Senator's right. It's S on the Senate side, HR, House resolution on the House side. The only way you'll get rid of it is by getting rid of the filibuster, which, by the way, was born in the Jim Crow era as well, and born of people in that part of the country as elected representatives who wanted a way to slow down progress. I don't know if you guys will have the votes within your own party, and that will be some assessment of the Democrats. But we don't know now, so let's put that on hold. Let's talk about something we do know. You have a problem at the border. We always have. The flow is increasing because the Biden administration rolled back a lot of the Trump restrictive, arguably inhumane restrictive practices. But by removing them all at once, you increase the flow without having the capacity to handle it. Does the Biden administration have to own that they made it too easy for too many to come and they're not equipped?
Well, I think they were immediately moved by their human decency to say that the restrictive measures that had left thousands stranded across the border, so vulnerable to the gangs that could attack them, is wrong, and we have to give them safe harbor. That's what our international responsibility under the Refugee Convention is all about. They also probably didn't take into account that those who recruit those to come to the border were out there running advertisements saying now is the moment.
Right.
The Biden administration is so decent they won't turn you back. So they do have a big challenge, and that challenge is created out of them doing basically the way we should treat refugees, which is to recognize that we provide a safe harbor, we have an expedient process for determining whether they qualify for asylum, and if they qualify, they're able to stay. If they don't qualify, it's difficult, they're sent home. But you're right, our facilities and our processes were not in shape to handle this kind of flow.
Yeah, we need to hear more out of the administration about how they're going to address that. Otherwise, the accountability is going to get greater, because when you encourage people to come, you better be able to handle it. It's not a problem of their own making, but many administrations have made these problems that we are living in real time. Senator Jeff Merkley, thank you for discussing the issues. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Chris.
Politics are holding us back from crushing this pandemic. That's all it is. The vaccine resistance now is on the right, and concerns about variants are growing. Let's look inside the numbers to see the reality, okay, in terms of what stands between us and an end to this nightmare once and for all. The Wizard of Oz has the answers. Next.
For every idea out there that gets the love it should, there are 5 more that don't succeed and so are lost for good. And some of them are pretty flawed, and some of them are slightly odd. But many are small businesses that simply lack the tool to find excited people who will stop and say, that's cool. And these 2, they like this idea, and those 3 like that one. And that's because personalized ads find good ideas for everyone.
Out here, we know you're ready for a fresh start in a new season. When gardeners dig into fresh ground. When landowners need a little horsepower, get property looking its best. And when taking care of pets and animals gives us new purpose. Out here, 42,000 of us in over 1,900 Tractor Supply stores are here to help with homegrown know-how and everything you need for spring. And with the services that make shopping easier than ever. Tractor Supply, everything for your life out here.
New projects means new project managers. You need to hire. I need Indeed. Indeed you do. The moment you sponsor a job on Indeed, you get a short list of quality candidates from a resume database. Claim your $75 credit when you post your first job at Indeed.com/home.
You've been very busy at home lately. It's time you got reacquainted with your massage routine. With Massage Envy, your safety is a top priority. Massage Envy. Keep your body working.
Renee is not an influencer. She's more of a groundbreaker. Renee runs with us on a John Deere 1 Series tractor. Because out here, you can't take a job until done. Hear Renee's store at Deere.com.
Grubhub Perks give you deals on all the food that makes your boogie. Get the food you love with Perks from Love What You Love.
The big dance is going to be a wild ride.
For the moment. We're here for excitement. Who knew the madness? The madness begins Thursday.
Our members may all be different, but they can all benefit from everything CCCU has to offer. Consolidated Community Credit Union is now just CCCU, from customer to customized. Bank locally. Live simply with CCCU.
Welcome to the living guys. I'm kind of a big deal in this industry. I'm a nice guy. Are you?
He just got a taste of his own medicine.
Our members may all be different, but they can all benefit from everything CCCU has to offer. Consolidated Community Credit Union is now just CCCU, from customer to customized. Bank locally, live simply with CCCU.
Divided we stand. Sundays at 10.
The party of Trump is purposefully prolonging the pain of the pandemic. They never miss a chance to crank up the outrage over masks and demand everything open immediately. Yet you hear any of them telling MAGA Nation to roll up a sleeve and get a shot. In fact, the number of cases, that big drop in cases, take a look, looks good. But look closer at the last few weeks. The line's no longer dropping nearly as much. How? We keep setting records for the number of vaccines. How? Too many states are throwing open the doors, opening everything back up. People are starting to see the end in sight. More of you are getting on planes, more in the last 4 days than any time during the pandemic. I'm not telling you don't fly. I'm not telling you not to do what you want, but you have to do it the right way. More than that, it's about the variants. Right when the experts said, the middle of March, ask Caesar what today is. The Ides of March. Google it. We don't have time for it. Bottom line, we still have a long way to go until we get to herd immunity. One of the biggest hurdles to getting there remains the opposition party saying stuff like this.
Did you get the vaccine, or are you planning to get vaccinated?
No, I had COVID, so I don't believe, I think that probably provides me the best immunity possible, actually having had the disease.
I got to tell you, you take this and the stuff that he said about the white rioters don't bother me, but the brown ones do. I think it's just ignorance. I really do. He can't not know that having COVID doesn't remove the need for the vaccine. But he's not alone. At least 3 other Republican senators are making it known that they are not vaccinated. Now, you may have medical reasons, right? But if it's just like out of will, here's the truth. Cases of people getting reinfected are well documented. I've been hearing about them more and more. I could show you that the CDC specifically addresses this by clearly saying, if you had COVID, you still need to be vaccinated. But we're learning just how much the opposition party, the Trumpers, torch the CDC's credibility. An internal review by the agency found, quote, a variety of issues with how the agency handled scientific data during the Trump administration, including putting out guidance that wasn't even authored by the CDC. The reality is, there's one person who could make a difference if he really started to be loud about the need to get a shot. He's the guy who insists he deserves all the credit for the vaccine, yet didn't tell anybody when he got one. Then, no-showed on the former president's PSA promoting.
I think it would make all the difference in the world. He's a very widely popular person among Republicans. If he came out and said, go and get vaccinated, it's really important. He has such incredible influence over people in the Republican Party. It would really be a game changer if he did.
Why isn't former President Trump telling people to take the vaccine that he made possible? The Wizard of Oz, Harry Enton, says the numbers back up Dr. Fauci. How so, Wiz? I like that you got your ears lowered.
Thank you very much. Look, here's the situation. The situation is, if you look at the polling and you look at breaking it down by Republicans versus Democrats who say they've either gotten the vaccine or will get the vaccine, what you see here is a very clear indication. 72% of Democrats say they have gotten or will get the COVID-19 vaccine. Just 48% of Republicans. And what I should know, Chris, is that this type of gap was much smaller, used to be much, much smaller, but we've heard over and over again the rhetoric from Democrats saying, get the vaccine, it's trustworthy, versus the rhetoric from Republicans, a lot less noteworthy in terms of positive reinforcement to get the vaccine. And what you see now on your screen is a perfect indication of what that has caused.
You say when it comes to hesitancy versus resistance, you have to look at the hardcore no's. What have you seen over time?
This is so important, which is that if you look over the last 6 months, go back from September 2020 to March of 2021, what we've seen is that those people who are hesitant, those who said, yeah, I'll get it, but I'm going to wait a little bit to get it, that has dropped from 64% to 24%, while in the same period, the percentage of folks who said, I've either gotten it or I'm going to get it ASAP has jumped from 13% all the way up to 54%. So those people who are hesitant have decided to move back into that column and say, no, I'm going to get it immediately. But here's the key nugget here. The key nugget here is the percentage who say that they won't get it. That was 23% back in September. That number hasn't moved, Chris. It's now 20%. So the people who have been resisting all along, not the hesitant people, the people who just say, I'm not going to get it, those people are still hardcore no's.
Is there anything that you can glean from the data about what our best chance is to get people to want to take the vaccine?
Yeah, two things. Number one is the more you get to know somebody who has a vaccine, right? Someone that you know has been inoculated. Look at this. Amongst those who say that they know someone who's gotten a vaccine and they themselves have not yet get it, 50% say that they want to get the vaccine as soon as possible. Versus those who don't, in fact, know anybody who's gotten the vaccine, just 33%. So for me, there are two key things that need to be done. Number one, people need to know people who've gotten it, which is one of the key things with Trump, right? Why should you get him out on the air? Is because if you know someone who's gotten it, you're far more likely to get it. And if we go to slide 4 here, I think this is the other important thing, is if you look at the reasons why people say they're not going to get it, what it really comes down to is they just don't have enough knowledge of the vaccination. There are concerns about side effects. There are people, they want more info, just generally speaking. Those are the top concerns. It's not like they think, oh, you know, I'm anti-vax generally. That's very, very low on the totem pole. So essentially what you really want, Chris, is you want people to have a lot of knowledge that these vaccines work, and they want to know people who have, in fact, used it successfully. And if we're able to push that forward in the press and the politicians at large, that, I think, will, in fact, alleviate some of that vaccine hesitancy and get those people to want to take the vaccine immediately.
Very helpful, Harry Anton. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
All right, so talking about setbacks, the George Floyd murder trial, a $27 million settlement. That's on the civil side. Now, will that stand in the way of a fair trial for the officer, Derek Chauvin, on the criminal side? His defense attorney thinks so. This is not an unusual situation, or is it? We're going to take it to our top prosecutor next.
It's time to hit refresh, to be buttoned up, to feel your best and look it by using Just for Men shampoo and hair color to eliminate gray in 5 easy minutes. It's time to look forward. Just for Men shampoo and color.
Jackson Hewitt knows your job description may have changed this year to say account manager, third grade teacher, and senior vice dog walker. Don't add tax preparer. Let Jackson Hewitt do it for you so you can be certain your taxes are done right, guaranteed.
The Harry's razor is not the same. Because some of us are not the same. Our close shave comes from our 5 German-engineered blades designed to start sharp and stay sharp. And we never upcharge you for high quality. So for those of us who don't want just the same, Harry's razors are here. Harry's, not the same. Available in-store and at harrys.com.
So, how's the menopause going? Unexpected rage, hot flashes, exhaustion, big fan. Here's to being tired all day and up at night.
Said no woman ever. Estromed relieves major menopause symptoms.
BMW vehicles available no matter what adventure lies around the corner. There's an extra that.
Pre-release 2021 X3X Drive 30i for $499 per month. With United Healthcare Medicare Advantage plans, there's so much to take advantage of, like $0 copays on virtual visits. $0 copays on primary care visits and lab tests. Plus, $0 copays on hundreds of prescription drugs. United Healthcare Medicare Advantage plans, including the only plans with the AARP name. Most plans have a $0 premium. It's time to take advantage.
Wow.
The story of Late Night, coming this spring.
The big dance. We're ready for March Madness on Xfinity. We live for the moment. We're here for the excitement. We're made for madness.
Can you believe that? Anything can happen in March.
Watch the action on TBS, TNT, and True TV on Xfinity.
At Gentle John's Moving and Storage, we believe every moving truck is full of memories, hopes, and dreams. And that's how my dad approaches everything we do, from our trucks and equipment to employing the best movers in Oregon, because we know these Oregon roads. With experience in over 100,000 moves, from Beaverton to Happy Valley, Eugene to Bend, and everywhere in between. And now we're ready to help make your next move the best you've ever made. Gentle John's Moving and Storage, for the perfect move within your budget.
I'm Phil Mattingly at the White House, and this is CNN.
Closed captioning brought to you by TheraWorks Relief. Prevent and relieve muscle cramps.
If you suffer from muscle cramps in your legs and feet, TheraWorks Relief can help.
Get TheraWorks Relief today. Available in stores everywhere.
There's another wrench in the Derek Chauvin trial, the man accused of killing George Floyd. The defense attorney for the former officer charged in Floyd's death is asking the judge overseeing the case to delay the trial and move venues. Why? The lawyer argues last week's historic $27 million settlement between the city of Minneapolis and George Floyd's family could taint the jury pool. Laura Coates joins us now. Is it more common for a settlement to follow a criminal trial? Yes. Have we seen them come before? Yes. The idea of delaying or changing venue, what is the chance that time will dissipate the knowledge and feelings that the people in that community must have about this situation?
I would say 0% chance. Remember, this is not even a year after George Floyd was killed. That was back in May of last year. And you see, this is very much fresh on the minds of so many people. And the idea of delaying it, with what end, Chris? I mean, the idea of delaying it or trying to move it as if someplace else in Minnesota, people may not have heard about it. It made national and likely international news, given the amount. The historic settlement is a pre-trial actual settlement. The idea of having time come in the way of dissipating somehow people's memories or the influence of it is probably going to be a 0% chance. I'm just going to take it into account, thinking about what the possible solutions are.
Right. I mean, look, if he can get Chauvin on the outside for the entire time, then obviously we get why he'd want to delay. Now, the idea of what this settlement means, for those who have followed this situation, Mohammed Noor is a really important case in Minnesota. That was a $20 million settlement announced after his conviction, which is more likely. Noor, very important because it set a Supreme Court precedent in that state to use the main charge that they just added here, this third-degree murder. But it could cut both ways, Laura. You hear that there's this big settlement. We heard one potential juror said, whoa, that definitely makes me think that he did something wrong. But you could also hear $27 million and say, wow, well, they already took care of the family. I mean, you can never bring back George. There's already been punishment here.
Absolutely. I mean, the idea here that a settlement is going to influence or aid only the prosecution and the defense really is a fallacy. On the one hand, if you're the prosecution, having that culpability in the form of a financial accounting may buttress the arguments that at least the city council also felt this way. Remember, he was also fired almost instantly by the police chief in Minneapolis as well. You have all the ideas of being aware of the potential last year of even a plea to the third-degree murder charge as well. All that holistically comes into the minds of jurors who are already made aware before they were even summoned back in December. On the other hand, however, it could yield itself a benefit to the defense. People might be, because it's not as if they're the settlement's coming out of the police union's dollars or the police department. It comes out in part out of taxpayer dollars, I believe. And so taxpayers may look at this and say, come on, you've got to be kidding me here. We've got part of our town burned down. There was backlash based on those who hijacked the otherwise righteous protest and committed crimes. That factors in as well. And you have the idea, well, you know what? I don't know if all the elements are met here, but $27 million is quite a statement. Why must we go the extra mile and give somebody a prison term as well? That's why normally these things come afterwards chronologically. It's not required, but it's also in part why the federal government, Chris, serves as oftentimes a civil rights backdrop for all of these things, to take into account what would happen at the state level, to avoid having a state level jury look at these with a personal touch, thinking about what they themselves as taxpayers, as community members might think about, and instead broaden that to the federal civil rights legislation as well. So all of it could actually cut both ways, but ultimately we see here from the jurors that have been selected already, they seem to be aware of it, number one, and also are having some somewhat disagree or some opinion of Chauvin already based on what they know, some opinion of George Floyd based on what they have heard as well. It's all holistically going to combine to factor in how they ultimately are going to deliberate and rule.
8 and 9 were seated today. 8 is a black man in his 30s. He believes Chauvin did not set out to murder anyone. 9 is a white woman in her 50s. She has a somewhat negative impression of Chauvin. So you can see, color doesn't always tell the story. Laura Coates, I usually understand what you're going to say, but it never sounds as good as when you say it. Laura Coates, thank you very much for making the case. I really hope to have you as much as possible as we go through this. This is the easy part. Once we get into this trial, it's going to get sticky and it's going to get quick. It'll be good to have you. Thank you.
Let's get after it.
Oh, well said. All right, from tragedy to triumph. You want to know why you get the vaccine? You know why we want to be in a rush? To get back to family. Do you see this scene? The hug felt around the world a year in. How many of these moments have we missed? A grandma, a grandson, and the mom who recorded it all. We are all jealous of this family you're going to meet next, and for great reason.
Tonight, I'll be eating a calzone from Dobos in Aurora. Rock on.
Tonight, I'll be eating lobster thermidor au gratin.
Really?
Yeah, the monkeys might fly out of my butt. Make it 2 calzones.
Grubhub Perks give you deals on all the food that makes you boogie. Get the food you love with Perks from Love What You Love.
We need your help.
This is unexpected. Can't believe I'm actually having lunch with spies. Everyone you meet, assume they're KGB. What if I get caught if it execute me correct?
These days, everyone's staring at screens, scanning the news, and watching their spending. Good vision is more important than ever, but so, especially now, is saving. That's why America's Best includes a free eye exam when you buy 2 pairs of glasses for just $69.95. That's a savings of at least $50. 2 pairs of glasses for just $69.95. Includes a free exam. That's not just a better deal. It's America's Best. Book an exam online today at americasbest.com. And you're on mute.
At Finger Hut, we don't define you by your credit score, so we offer low monthly payments on things you need and brands you trust as you build your credit history with a Finger Hut credit account. You do you at fingerhut.com.
Finger Hut credit accounts are issued by WebBank.
Hello. I'm in love with Premier Protein Caramel. This sweet person is like, I can do this. Premier, you nailed it. With 30 grams of protein, 160 calories, and just 1 gram of sugar, Premier Protein, too good to be good. Dream, 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 dream. Dream, dream,
Sleep soundly tonight, with peace of mind from the brand that more families trust for quality and timeless protection. 82, real protection.
You've been very busy at home lately.
Lately, it's time you got reacquainted with your massage routine. Massage Envy massages will leave you recharged. Join now and get a free 60-minute massage session. Massage Envy. Keep your body working.
Doug, Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance, so you only pay for what you need. Thank you. Hey, no, you only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty. Discover the world with Bingo Blitz, the #1 free bingo game, Bingo Blitz. Download now and play for free. Are you coming?
I have an idea for a trade. I ain't gonna place it. Not until I'm sure. Why don't you call TD Ameritrade for a strategy gut check? What's that? You run it by an expert, you talk about the risk and potential profit and loss. Should have used that before I hired my interior decorator.
Voila.
Maybe a couple of throw pillows would help.
Get a strategy gut check from our trade desk.
I want to be our next guests, and you do too. I want to show you a video that's going to hit you in the heart, and it is exactly why we've got to get the vaccine when we can. This is the moment a 3-year-old boy in Pennsylvania got the surprise that literally the family's been waiting so long for, a chance to see Nana Jean, his grandma, for the first time in months. Take a look.
Good to see her. Who is that, Trax? Who is that?
Oh, only 3, but he knows. He knows. Kelsey Chavala was the one you heard speaking there, recording the reunion between her son, Trax, great name, and her mother-in-law, Jean. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. Oh, look at him. What a good-looking boy. I like those jammies, by the way. I have the same ones. Yeah, hide your face. I got the same little animal. Kelsey, that is such a beautiful thing to have. And tell me what it's been like waiting for this moment.
I mean, what do you say about it? We're just holding on to hope as much as we could. You know, the calls and FaceTimes just, you know, were all we had, and just they weren't cutting anymore. We were just so ready to go, and constantly from him, you know, when can we go see Nan and Pep? I miss them. And, you know, it was just a truly precious moment. Words can't explain.
You can let him do whatever he wants. He wants to yell, let him yell. He wants to walk around, let him go. I got 3 of them at home. Jean, you know, you guys are living the dream right now for so many of us. Families that, you know, thank God have each other, that want to be close, the moments that we haven't been able to make. What did it mean to you to get vaccinated and be able to come and say hello to your grandson?
Oh, it meant everything to me. I have to thank Cletus's Drugstore, Wood City, and Dave Sipple for finally calling me to get the vaccine. I'm just so grateful that I got it, that we could be together again.
You went to the pharmacy.
Yeah.
Yes.
The local pharmacy. Yeah. Our town.
Yeah, it's an important part of the story that's emerging. You know, as pharmacies get it, people have a different comfort level. They understand where to go. They know their pharmacists, and it's really getting a lot of people in the game. So you've been seeing your grandson. You're right around the corner. But what was it like to hold him? How has he changed since the last time you had him, Jean?
Oh, when I went to pick him up, I thought, I thought I was going to drop.
I could see it in your face.
It just melted my heart.
Boy, I'll tell you, you guys, there's so many of us who want to be the Chavalas right now and have that. I can't wait. I mean, my mother now is fully vaccinated, but you know, the same thing that you were balancing, Kelsey. That's why I really want to get you guys on tonight. Kelsey works in healthcare. She's been vaccinated for a while. Watch out, kid, watch out. Her husband is waiting for his phase to come. So he's not vaccinated, and so many of us are in this situation. Look at him go. Hit the cameraman. Hit the cameraman. I think it's great. I'm so happy for you guys. I hope your husband can get vaccinated. That's all right. We got to end the segment anyway. Let him take us right off. Kelsey, thank you for letting us share this memory. Gene, thank God that you're healthy and well. I'm glad you got the vaccine. I know your husband had been dealing with some lung issues, so I'm glad he's safe as well. And you've got a beautiful boy. Trax is a good-looking kid, and I wish you well.
We're very blessed.
Thank you so much, huh? Enjoy yourselves. Enjoy family.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That is the American dream. How much do you want to be the Chavalas? Thank God for them, and thank God there'll be a lot more of us, and hopefully soon, if we do the right thing. We'll be right back. I gotta call my mom.
Everyone hates spam calls. Luckily, there's RoboKiller. RoboKiller eliminates 99% of spam calls and gets revenge on robocallers.
Oh, when the rain set in, you just like your honest opinion about what you think.
Yeah, they're not tea, but you know what? There's always room for improvement. So you can live your life spam call free. Download RoboKiller now.
Keeping your oyster business growing has you swamped. You need to hire.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. The moment you sponsor a job on Indeed, you get a short list of quality candidates from our resume database. Claim your $75 credit when you post your first job at Indeed.com/promo.
Sarah! Jenny Craig Works, introducing Rapid Results Max. You can lose up to 17 pounds in your first 4 weeks.
Doing Jenny Craig, my best decision ever.
Limited time offer and flexible delivery options with Jenny Craig.
The Harry's razor is not the same. Because some of us are not the same. Our close shave comes from our proud German-engineered blades, designed to start sharp and stay sharp. And we never upcharge you for high quality. So for those of us who don't want just the same, Harry's razors are here. Harry's, not the same. Available in-store and at harrys.com.
If you're over 50, imagine you could turn back the clock on your stiff, achy joints 10, even 20 years. Imagine you could do this without products that just temporarily hide the symptoms and may have side effects. Imagine no more. Introducing Instaflex Advanced. Get a complimentary sample just by texting REDEEM to 42424. Instaflex Advanced is different because it targets the root cause of joint soreness and stiffness. It doesn't just cover up symptoms. Instead, it bathes your joints in its unique combination of 5 key natural ingredients found in no other product. Key ingredients backed by 5 clinical studies. Instaflex Advanced is so powerful, you could have better knees in just 1 week. Maybe that's why it's the #1 selling joint brand at GNC. But you can only get your complimentary sample by texting REDEEM to 42424. Plus, text now and we'll include a tube of Instaflex pain cream with its exclusive oxygenated oil for fast-acting relief from the pain of arthritis, backaches, and sore muscles. Absolutely free. Text it REDEEM to 42424.
Lincoln freed the slaves. But it's a lot more complicated than that.
Lincoln, Sundays at 10.
Mattress World Northwest is excited to announce the grand opening of our new Northeast Broadway store during our 26th anniversary sale. Get the best sleep of your life with a free adjustable base. Grand opening deals for our anniversary sale at Mattress World Northwest.
The man with auto-buying superpowers is back. Captain Credit, the superhero from Gage Auto Sales. He's ready to get you into a quality pre-owned car, truck, or SUV with zero hassle and affordable payments. Not bad credit, no down payments. Captain Credit says, no problem. He's got the ability to finance just about anyone. Best of all, you can shop and apply for financing online. Car buying has never been easier. Don't let credit problems stand in your way. Captain Credit from Gage Auto is here for you. It's a bird. It's great. It's proof that Gage Auto Sales.
Mattress World Northwest is excited to announce the grand opening of our new Northeast Broadway store during our 26th anniversary sale. Save on the largest collection of luxury and value bedding under one roof. Grand opening deals for our anniversary sale at Mattress World Northwest.
Stanley Tucci, Searching for Italy. Sundays at 9 on CNN.
Got to get the vaccine. Got to get the information. Got to track the science. And we have to be smart. And we'll have moments like the Chavalas. Thank you for watching. Time for the big show. CNN Tonight with the big star, Dylan.
I haven't seen my mom in over a year, and after being home on quarantine, I would not suggest that she try to pick me up.
I could tell when I was watching that grandma's face that she had to sink with the knees a little bit more
like,
when
"Whoa."
tracks ran into her. She was like, ooh. But you know what? For whatever reason, whether it's right or wrong, grandparents love to know that your kids are gaining weight.
Oh my gosh.
We
Too
all want to be the
skinny.
Chavalas.
Too skinny.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I hear that all the time with Mario. We all want to be the Chavalas. We all want that moment.
And we can be.
I called my mom in the break. You know, I'm going away next week. You know, Bella just turned 18. She's the big shot. She just got into another college.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Got a scholarship to the first one. I said, we're done. We're done. You're getting money. You go to that school. It's fine. And
Oh,
all of a
that's
sudden,
the
now
one
we
you're
need
going
choices. So we're going to go away for the break because, you know, the kids have been denied so many memories.
Yeah.
And we see family a lot. I mean, you know, Don and I, you know, we see each other's family all the time. You have to understand.
I saw your wife and your son today. Why is he wearing leg weights?
How crazy is that? I hope he's watching right now.
Yeah.
He's wearing ankle weights around because he thinks it's going to make him jacked.
He's like a beanpole. It's not going to happen. And listen, let me tell you about this. When I was his age, I would take weight gain powder, right? Remember that was in, you take weight gain powder. And my mom said to me, she said, one day you're going to regret that. And now I need weight loss powder because, you know, it'll come in time, Mario, relax.
He's built like Tarzan.
Yeah.
That guy. He's going to be great. He's got his mother's genes. I ask you something.
Yep.
I had Natasha Alfred on, right? The Grio.
Take weight gain powder, right? Remember that was in, you take weight gain powder. And my mom said to me, she said, one day you're going to regret that. And now I need weight loss powder because, you know, it'll come in time, Mario, relax.
He's built like Tarzan.
Yeah.
That guy. He's going to be great. He's got his mother's genes. I ask you something.
Yep.
I had Natasha Alfred on, right? The Grio, smart. She says, I know what they want. They want me to come on here and be all, you know, hot and angry about this and outraged about what Ron Johnson said, but no, because I know the game they're playing.
Yeah.
That bothers me. Everybody should be outraged by this, unless he's really ignorant. And I have to tell you, the combination of saying I don't need the vaccine, I have COVID, and saying there's nothing about race when I say that white rioters don't bother me, but black ones do. Maybe he's just ignorant. I mean, maybe he is. I know he's a U.S. senator, but I mean, certainly wrong, but maybe he doesn't get it.
Maybe I was going to say, you took the words, we've been together for way too long. You took the words out of my mouth. Many people don't know, they don't think that they're being racist. And that's exactly what it is. And I hate to keep saying, oh, he's racist. He doesn't know. And in his mind, it is okay to say that was his reality. That maybe he wasn't afraid. He probably was not afraid of the.
I mean, look, he was the one pitching the big lie. Well, he should have felt comfortable. He should have, you know, welcomed them with open arms.
Yeah.
Those are the guys he was telling, this is robbed, this is stolen, this is that. And then he's the one who said it. What did he say about January 6th?
Yeah.
I don't know who it was.
As James Baldwin said, he said to black people that they were going to have to help their white brothers and sisters because they were trapped in a history that they didn't understand. And Ron Johnson is trapped in a history that he does not understand. He has come out of American soil that has taught him that what he is saying and what he believes, those thoughts that he has, that it's okay, that it's right. And it is, and he completely believes in his head. I believe that he does believe it. So that makes him ignorant. I believe that he thinks that it's okay and that that was his reality, that those white rioters weren't going to harm him, right? Because they were of like mind and complexion. But if there were black rioters or black protesters, that he might be harmed, not just because they of a different complexion, because he believes that they're of different beliefs.
But he also knows maybe he's not.
Hang on. But what is that? What is that? That's racism.
Oh, absolutely.
That's the essence of racism.
Absolutely.
Sorry, go on.
Absolutely. Maybe though he's just making the right play for him, because the combination of these guys are better than the black version of them works in that base, and they're coming after me, they're going to cancel me now, race card, that works too. That works too. So he's got the sword and the shield, and I have to tell you, there is this nonsense that I haven't figured out how to get through yet, where people will say about January 6th, you weren't that upset about that stuff last summer. I said, what act of terrorism against the U.S. Capitol happened last summer? Oh, no. But all summer long, they were running around, doing all those violence, and you didn't think it was bad then. Now I'll tell you the truth.
What was the act of provocation in the summer? What was the act of provocation on the 6th?
Listen,
who were driving cars and instigating and trying to goad the protesters? None of that happened on January 6th. Now, I'm not saying there wasn't violence this past summer, but to compare the two is really just bogus.
Well, first of all, one was an act of terror and an insurrection of the U.S. Capitol that tried to stop the certification of an election. Okay? That's a standalone. Now, I don't really care what the provocation was on one level. I absolutely believe that there is systemic inequality and we have problems with policing in communities that disproportionately affect minorities, period. I don't care why you choose to destroy a building or hurt a cop. You're a criminal and you have become what you oppose at a minimum. But what I'm saying is there is too much of a quickness in our country right now to say they did it too. We are not united in the way we need to be in this country, Don.
Yeah.
And it is very frightening to me because if it's not about race, then why did you pitch that BLM stuff as some arm of the Democratic Party that was coming to get you, who's not BLM? Why is it that all the election fraud happened in black communities? Why is it that January 6th wound up being something that is now being mollified? Why is it that your response to the election is the biggest wave of suppression since Jim Crow? If it has nothing to do with race, why is it all about race on every level?
I'm always asking those questions, and so I think we'll leave it at that. I'll let you ask those
When I
questions.
say it's really got a punch to
No.
it. You say it's kind of like,
No.
No. People don't get it.
I don't think you should make fun of that. I'm being completely serious. I think those are pertinent questions to answer, and I think the folks
They're
out there.
rhetorical questions.
Yes.
We know the answers.
Yeah.
They are living in abject denial of the answers. Ron Johnson knows that he's making the right play for himself.
Yeah, but Ron Johnson is ignorant, and Ron Johnson is also racist.
How about all the ones that didn't say anything in his party?
And
how about all the senators who let him say that? If I ever said anything like that, anything close to it, you wouldn't let me finish the sentence.
No, and I would come over to the next studio because you're in the next studio.
And colleagues would jump up all over the place and say, "What are you doing? That's not us."
I got it wrong.
Nobody said anything. That he's making the right play for himself.
Yeah, but Ron Johnson is ignorant, and Ron Johnson is also racist.
How about all the ones that didn't say anything in his party?
And
how about all the senators who let him say that? If I ever said anything like that, anything close to it, you wouldn't let me finish the sentence.
No, and I would come over to the next studio because you're in the next studio.
And colleagues would jump up all over the place and say, "What are you doing? That's not us."
I got it wrong.
Nobody said anything. The silence, I'll be silent now, but for a different reason. I love you, D. Lemon.
I love you too. Let's keep talking like this. I know it's uncomfortable for some people, but not for us.
Not for us. Makes us better, makes us understand things. You are a great benefit to me. You're a gift in my life, and I love you.
This is CNN Tonight. Thank you, sir. This is CNN Tonight. I'm Don Lemon. So, guess what, y'all? There is some optimism. 100 million shots in arms. Amen. That's great. 100 million checks in pockets. You keep asking where the good news is? There it is. 100 million shots in arms, 100 million checks in pockets. Who doesn't want a check in the mail? I know I do. All in the next 10 days. That's the promise from the president, Joe Biden.
Over the next 10 days, we will reach two giant goals. The first is 100 million shots in people's arms will have been completed within the next 10 days, and 100 million checks in people's pockets.
That's from the new president in office, just a little bit more than 50 days. And the new vice president, Kamala Harris, in Las Vegas today, with Americans getting some of those 100 million shots in arms. And while the president and the vice president are working to sell their desperately needed massive COVID relief plan to the American people, the Republican Party, the party of no, the party of cancel culture, Mr. Potato Head, Dr. Seuss, doubling down on the racism again today. We just talked about Ron Johnson. Remember this? Ron Johnson, Senator Ron Johnson, defending the rioters who attacked the U.S. Capitol.
I knew those are people that love this country, that truly respect law enforcement, would never do anything to break a law. And so I wasn't concerned. Now, had the tables been turned, and Joe, this could be in trouble. Had the tables been turned and President Trump won the election, and those were tens of thousands of Black Lives Matter and Antifa protesters, I might have been a little concerned.
This would get me in trouble. If it had been Black Lives Matter protesters, might get him in trouble. He said it's not, but the answer's in, it's Black Lives Matter. You're afraid of them. Come on, brother. We ain't stupid. We heard you. You heard him. Said he wasn't concerned about the Trump supporters who actually rioted at the Capitol and hurt police officers. One of them died. But he would have been terrified. He would have been afraid if they had been Black Lives Matter or Antifa. Afraid they had been Black Lives Matter or Antifa. By the way, Black Lives Matter and Antifa did not riot at the Capitol. You heard him. You heard him say that he knows that that will get him in trouble. He knows it'll get him in trouble. But he says it anyway. Because he wants people to hear it. He is not afraid. He wants to say the racist part out loud. Totally unrepentant today.
There was nothing racial about my comments. Nothing whatsoever. Now, this isn't about race. This is about riots. I wasn't surprised, but it's still pretty shocking that it would take what I consider completely innocuous comment and turn it into, use the race card on me and, say there's some kind of racist comment involved in that. There was none.
He doesn't even believe that. And there's when somebody's talking like this, with a smile, I mean, come on, they're just taking it. I'm just making this up off my head. It's just a race card. I mean, come on, I'm not. When somebody's smiling at you about like this, you know what that means, don't you? And that's not what I meant at all. I mean, as I'm thin flush and perspiring and smiling through my teeth while I'm talking. We didn't just fall off the turnip truck. I'm from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I have seen that face and I've heard that voice for 50 some odd years. I know it when I see it and I know it when I hear it. Using the race card on him? Seriously, Ron Johnson? Let's remember it was rioters at the Capitol who openly paraded the Confederate battle flag. It's all about a deliberate attempt to normalize what happened on January 6th, and there was nothing normal about it. To say he wasn't.
I'm sure it's after 5 o'clock somewhere in the world you've written a story about.
Now, I barely know either of these couples. I feel like a wedding crasher a little bit.
Well, you're my plus one. Sorry, you're more than welcome. Even if you are separated from Finn's daddy. I'm sure you're not intimidated by wedding bells now, are you? I know, sweetheart.
Do you know what day it is? It's our wedding day!
You were having second thoughts speaking out. Forever hold your peace, because what's the plans in motion?
I understand how this works. Oh, God, Valentine, this is going to affect a lot of people's lives, including Finn. I feel as if I should Rudy, just give him a heads